I don't know about you, but I'm done paying for websites. I'm done. That website you just saw, I'm getting charged $18 from Webflow. Don't want to pay that no more. Therefore, we're going to use the power of artificial intelligence to build out this entire website. If you have no idea how to code, don't worry. I'm making a whole series on it. And this series works with Cursor AI, or alternatively, if you like using Replit. No matter what though, I am done paying for a website. No more money, Webflow. No more money. Welcome back, y'all. This is lesson 6 of the series I've been doing for the past couple months here, showing you how to build out an entire website and actually build out a website using artificial intelligence and coding it out. Now, if you just found me and you somehow found lesson 6, I would encourage you to start at lesson 1, as there's going to be stuff that you're going to be like, wait, I don't understand. How did he get here? Or this guy's not a good teacher. He didn't teach this. Well, that's just because you missed the other 5 lessons. Your next question is like, Corbin, where is this playlist? Check the description. Scroll down. It'll be right there. But before you leave, make sure you leave a like on this video. Check out lesson 1. Start from the beginning. Now that we got that out of the way, and everyone that's watching has watched the previous 5 lessons, so don't leave that comment saying I didn't teach you. Just watch the other lessons. Let's check out lesson 6 here, where I'm going to build out a banner, and I'm going to show you how to build out a component that's going to be image-oriented, e.g. a gallery. If you don't know what a banner is, that's going to be this little green thing right here. This is typically used in the context of giving announcements. You could also link articles with this or just link anything with it. So in this video, I plan on creating a banner here. And then the gallery part is going to take the section that's currently live on my website, and I'm going to make it into a better looking section of all the investments that Web Cafe AI is involved in. Sound good? 2 last things I'll mention real quick, fire off. If you're using either Cursor AI or Replit, what you're about to see in today's video can still be applied in this context. You're going to learn how to prompt correctly in the context of coding and using artificial intelligence. Number 2, this entire series is very lengthy, and the last episode is going to encompass 3 major parts that aren't going to be included on YouTube. It's going to be included on my school community. The 3 major things are going to be a newsletter type of CTA. You're going to learn how to deal with webhooks. The second major thing is going to be a contact page. And then the third major thing is going to be the ability to create custom domains within this website. Regardless, if you don't want to look at my school community, you're like, I don't care, Corbin. That's fine. You'll get 80 to 90% of what you need to know about creating websites from my YouTube playlist here. Sound good? Let's jump in. Coming over to my project here. Let's start here. I'm going to open up a terminal window. With this terminal window here, let's go into our directory. We're going to come over to our cheat sheet here. Corbin, I don't have a cheat sheet. What's a cheat sheet? You skipped some lessons, all right? I think we did this in like lesson 2. This is our directory. Now that we're in a directory, you already know. What do? npm start. This is going to launch our code found here into a development environment. Enter. We are live. Localhost 3000 is launched here. This is where we got on our previous lesson here, where we created our top fold. Our top fold gave us the ability to get external links. For example, content catalog brings you to the YouTube channel you're currently watching. Whoever this guy is, he seems chill. The take this website, which I may change this CTA a little bit later on, depending on the dictation. For now, though, takes you to the current playlist you're watching, as basically I'm showing you how to build out this website from start to finish in this playlist. And lastly, what we completed in the previous lesson was our ability to create a nice little UI element where we can see the active investment, or in this context, basically play a video from YouTube in a cool way. Click this and we get going. Hello. Now let's move to the next part here, where I'm going to create a banner at the very top here. And then on top of that, I'm going to create another section here, which is going to be based off the current investments Web Cafe AI is involved in. Let's get going here. So we're going to have GitHub opened. We're going to have ChatGPT open. We're going to have everything open, ready to go here. We're going to create a new branch for the purpose of today's video. This branch is going to be banner and investment section. If you remember the previous video, you already got this in your cheat sheet. Is it in your cheat sheet? Have you added it yet? We're going to do git branch. This is going to tell us that we are currently in main. And as a side note, when I ran npm start, I leave that terminal window open just in the side, right? So we create a new terminal window when we want to do like different types of commands outside of just running the localhost 3000. So we're currently in main branch. And from what you know from previous lessons, we don't want to touch main branch. If you want to make changes, don't touch it. This is your stable branch. Therefore, we're going to create a new branch. And the purpose of this branch is going to be the banner. And we'll say invest. Banner invest. Enter. I messed up again. It's not git branch. I keep doing this command. It's git checkout -b. Now we'll do it again. Banner invest. Enter. There we go. We created a new branch. And there we go. So we're good to go. So here we shall proceed. I'm going to go ahead and get some coffee in me. I'm going to listen to a Swedish House Mafia mix. Which one, Corbin? Just type in Swedish House Mafia on SoundCloud and add mix. A lot of good ones. I'm going to go ahead and code out some files, show you the end product when it came to the banner, and then show you step by step how I achieved it so you can do the same thing. Sound good? I'll see you in like 20 minutes. This is what we got so far. I know it doesn't look beautiful, but I'm going to show you how I got to this point, as all that's really left right now for me to do is add a bunch of CSS elements to make this actually look good. me show you the structuring and how I've gotten to this endpoint. Obviously, my next step is to make that user interface look way better. But for now, let's go ahead and find out how I got to this point. Here's a new way you can start a chat to give a little bit more context to ChatGPT for the structuring of your underlying repository and how you want to associate the files. Notice how I screenshotted this, which can be found right here. And the reason I screenshotted it is because of the fact that the component we're creating is the banner, which is going to be found in the components folder. But we're going to go ahead and make sure we import it into our topfold.js. In short, so it basically renders above the top fold here, as you can see. So when I provide the folder structuring here, notice what I say. We are creating a banner for the top of our landing page. Current structuring of our project, let's create a new components folder, call it banner.js, banner.css. So I give the specific file names I want to create. Then I go one step further here and tell it where to import it, which is going to be the topfold.js. Now, if the response it gave me, it definitely gave me too much. Like, for example, we don't need to do this in terminal. What we can do in theory from here, and what I did was I simply just went over here, I right-clicked in components and just created both files myself. Created a .js, .css. Once I created those files, made my life simple, as I just want structuring right now, I simply copy the .js, pasted it over there. When I say copy, I mean like copy like that. Simply copy the CSS, pasted it over there. What do you mean by pasted over there, Corbin? I mean I literally went to .js, banner.js, paste. Banner.css, paste. That's it. I want to render it. I want to see where we're even at. Then it went ahead and showed me where to import it into topfold.js, but it was actually incorrect. I'll explain why when it comes to pathing. But it did show it correctly in the sense of how to render it in the J6 element, like this. So for example, if you went the extra mile here, and you went to topfold.js and you imported the same way, like it showed, we were obviously going to throw an error here, right? Because it's not going to be able to find it. The reason it's not going to be able to find it is because right now banner exists in the components folder. We went over this in lesson 5, and from lesson 5, you can see here, right here, video module components. I'm going to command Z this, so it shows it in the correct folder here. Banner, components, 2 dots, because we're going inside of a folder here. Not 1 dot, 2 dot. If that didn't make that much sense, watch the previous lesson. I go very much in depth of how to spot these kind of errors and know how to reference files correctly when importing. Now that we've imported banner from this section, banner, where's this name coming from, Corbin? Banner.js, export default banner. We can go ahead and leverage this and scroll down here, and all the relevant code found here, we can display with just this one line. This is why it's really nice doing parent-child relationships like this, where this banner is seen as the child component here that we can literally just do with one line. What do you mean, Corbin? I comment this out, comment out. When it does that, basically, like, it's not reading the code. What happens to the preview? There is no banner. Now that we have that, though, we have successfully created a banner, or at least the formatting or the structuring of the banner. I got to obviously do CSS here because that does not look good. There was a couple other things that was wrong with the code output. Second thing is that it did not do a return for the underlying J6 here. So always make sure you have a return for the J6. That's important. What do you mean? Scroll back up here, go up the banner. Notice how there is no return statement. Let me show you a little bit more structuring here. Notice how everything when it comes to logic is done outside of the return statement. All logic, when I say logic, we're thinking of stuff that incurs outside of just the rendering of the actual app. An example of logic is that when I reference open link in new tab, this logic will take a link and open it in a new tab. I know it's in the name. And then you can reference this kind of logic here. Make sense? Let me go ahead and up the CSS, make this UI look good, and give you my next steps. I'll see you there. How does it look? Some of y'all right now are like, Corbin, how do we even get to this point? Don't worry, I'm going to show you step by step how I got to this point. Let me explain what I changed, though. First thing is I went ahead and changed the color palette here, obviously. So less color, more of this like sleek look. I really like it. Furthermore, I went ahead and rounded the corners a lot more here and added a shadow effect so it looks like little like blocks, which are really cool. In addition, I went ahead and upgraded the little active investment button so it does a nice little animation now when you hover over it. Following this, the banner currently works perfectly. We have our announcement here. We are excited to share that WebCafe AI's investment bump ups has secured funding from Google. And what's cool is that when you click our little banner here, it would actually take you directly to bumpups.com. Let me go to show you step by step how I got to this point here, how to create a nice little banner here, and even go as far as creating an external link associated with that banner. Sound good? Let's jump it. Let's walk this through step by step here. First, let's identify what I did with the banner. First thing you'll notice is that right now, the banner has 2 CSS classes comparative to what you just saw it. We have the overarching banner CSS class, but now we actually have a CSS class associated with the text. Before, this text was wrapped in an H1. Now, this isn't bad, But personally, what I like to do is typically wrap my text in divs. And this allows me to really adjust the underlying CSS that's associated with that text. So what you'll notice here is I simply put in this prompt. I said, okay for this, and I literally just pasted the entire file. Let's give a CSS class 2, and then I provided the H1 and make it a div. That's it. What I found through development is that sometimes if you leave H1 on there and still try to mess with it in CSS elements, it doesn't necessarily follow it to a T. There's additional issues. And typically your H1 element is supposed to be the most relevant thing about your web page for Google to search and crawl. Due to the fact that this part of the web page is an announcement, that's not the most relevant part for Google to crawl. When I say crawl, that is me saying basically when Google looks at your website and shows it for search results. All right, so scrolling down here, gave me what I wanted, announcement as a CSS class, copy, paste, got the relevant CSS as well, copy, paste. So then once I did that, I went ahead and provided a current image of what the website looked like, and I realized, you know what, this coloring isn't it. It's just not working. It doesn't look good. So for that, I said for the banner, what coloring would work better for the background? No, this was me kind of messing around, wondering like, okay, what direction do I want to go here? It gave me some suggestions. I didn't like any of them. So I kind of took a step back and realized, you know what? Let's find out what we actually want to do here. And as a side note, I went ahead and also thought the actual thing that was being said in the banner was too long. So, this is good. Can we make it slightly shorter? Give me a slightly shorter version of the banner message. I like doing little stuff like that as it will just remove superfluous words and just give me the words that are relevant to what I'm trying to say or communicate within the copy. So moving forward here in the website, I think the one thing I liked about my old website was how sleek it looked. It just looked sleek. It was minimalistic. The coloring wasn't crazy. So in that context, I was like, you know what? Let's try to replicate something similar here. Therefore, number 2 thing to learn here is that you can reference other sites or other branding when creating your own website. Now, this specific context of what I did here was Apple. I was like, I want a modern look. Let's make it look like Apple. So I provided the current linear gradient, which was this, and asked for Apple looking type of gradient. It provided one. It wasn't perfect, but then that kind of got my brain thinking, you know what? I'm going to just get it myself. I'm going to do it myself. So I went ahead and grabbed the colors from Apple and then made the gradient myself. So that got me to this point here where I had the colors from Apple. And your next question might be, Corbin, how did you get the colors from Apple? I'm not sure what it would be on Windows. So if you know, go ahead and leave in the comments down below. But on Apple, you can go ahead and just install an app called Color Picker. And basically what it allows me to do is simply go to any website, select a specific color I want to get the color of or the hex of. For example, I could come over here and be like, what's the color of this text? Click it. And now I got the color. You can do the same thing with Windows or Linux, whatever it may be. That's how you can grab color from relevant websites that you like the coloring of. I then basically gave another screenshot basically saying, obviously we can't read this white text anymore. So what is a better matching color? Gave me some color examples here. Proceeded. Therefore, a lot of this process, especially when it comes to this kind of stuff, is that you'll have your development environment like on a left side of your screen or maybe a new window. And then you'll have the code on the right side of the screen. So you can do stuff like this. So for example, if I come to my topfolder.css here, jump over here, I could be like, I'm trying to find the good coloring here when it comes to, let's say, the download button. So right now the download button it has this like blackish text, right? What you do here is you're talking to ChatGPT, you're figuring out colors. You can even come up here and be like, maybe I want this color. Command save. Oh, that doesn't look good. Go back. And it's just like a back and forth process until you find a color that, really matches the brand and the styling you want. That's kind of what I did in the context of changing this whole palette up. So now that I showed you the method of getting good palette, good coloring for your brand, let me show you every single element that I've added up to this point when it came to adding more roundness to the elements, adding a shadow effect, adding the ability to add a hover effect, stuff like this. Now, before I show you the CSS elements that does that for us, let me just get the non-CSS thing out of the way, which is handle, banner, click. We already know this makes it so when I click the banner, we go to a separate web page called bump ups. Make your life easy. All you need to do is this. Okay, for this, paste the entire J6, paste the entire CSS, and simply ask it, have it so when I hover the banner, it moves 2 pixels up, and when I click, it opens a new tab, provide the link. And it provided everything I needed. Copy, paste, copy, paste. With that, I was able to basically create a nav bar that moves up and also opens an external link. Coming over to the code here, we can go ahead and check out what I did. So obviously, this is very simple here, right? Window open. We've done this before in the previous lesson, made it so that when this element is hovered over and is clicked, we open a new link here. You already saw how to do in ChatGPT. CSS-wise, we basically asked for this relevant information where when the banner is hovered, we transform and we translate y-axis, x-axis, up 2 pixels. The transform here, the 0.2 seconds, is what adds that smooth effect. So it isn't just like an instant click up, like a boom. It's like a slight like hover. Same situation was added to this CSS element here. All I did was simply come up to my topfold.css. I went to that relevant button, scrolling down here, watch demo button. And anytime you're like, where is this associated? Just do Command F, Control F, come back to your JS file, and then you'll find where that relevant button is. It's right here. So I know this button has to do with the active investment. So I come to this CSS. What I did was I simply said on hover, we translate up 5 pixels, and we have that nice transformation of 3 seconds so that we have a nice little, UI element that goes up slightly, adds some interactiveness for the user. And then finally, the last 2 things are the shadow element and the round rect. Round rect is very simple here. This is border radius, and you can just, for example, if I put 200 here, watch this. It goes super, super round. Let me keep that 20. And then the shadow itself is called box shadow. Now you might be saying, Corbin, I don't want to type that out. Don't worry. It's simple to ask ChatGPT. All I did was give the relevant CSS, and I say, give a shadow here with this color, provided the color, and it actually did give me the wrong code here. Notice how it says text shadow. This isn't a text. This is a element. This is a div element, not GitHub. This entire thing is a div element. How do I know it's a div element? Because of the fact that it says div. So knowing that, I knew that this was wrong text. This is wrong code. So I said, this is not a text shadow. This is an element shadow. And then it gave me the correct code here, a box shadow. Simply copied that, pasted it over to our topfold.css, and got a relevant output. You can push this to the limits here. If you're like, you don't know what you can do when it comes to CSS, just ask ChatGPT, copy it, paste it over, and just see what happens. You can do animations with this. You can do a ton of different stuff when it comes to CSS. There's a bunch of cool stuff you can do within your website here. For now, let me show you a good practice when it comes to development and saving progress. We are at a pretty good spot here when it comes to this branch here. We've successfully completed the banner portion. The next portion here is going to be the investment portion. So for now, let me show you how to save your spot like you're playing a video game. No, this is not Minecraft. This is not Call of Duty. But we're going to save you a milestone here. This is how you do it within a branch. So right now, Banner Invest hasn't been pushed to the cloud yet or GitHub because of the fact that we haven't actually pushed anything yet. So let's do that. To save your spot, we're going to do git add, git commit, -m, add these to your cheat sheet. We've done this before. We're going to say banner done. And then we're going to do git push origin. And we're going to do the relevant branch name that we're currently in. If you don't know, look to the bottom left. Right now we're in banner invest. Enter. With that, that's going to push this to GitHub. You'll notice it's a PR request, but why is this important? Why are we doing this? Because of the fact that within this branch, let's say I go to the next phase here and I go to the investment section and I mess up really bad. Like I'm in Banner Invest. What I can do is I can go to Banner Invest here and I can roll back to this commit here. So let's say I'm working in my local branch. I'm going. I burn 3 files. I just completely mess up. I can roll back to this previous branch here and find where I just saved my last spot. So in this context, here, make sure to use my past ChatGPT chats to show you how to do this. Make sure to use your current ChatGPT chat that has custom instructions to help you to do this. But it very much is simply just copying this and then pasting in the ChatGPT chat and just saying, I want to roll back to this commit. Let's keep going here. I don't know how I'm going to structure this next element here when it comes to investments. I have a slight inkling. I'm going to try it out here. I'll probably see you in 20, 30 minutes. Same deal. Walk you through step by step what I did. Make sure you leave a like. It's completely free. And I'll see you there. So I got my elements right here. Obviously, got to do some CSS. Got to adjust some stuff. But what you'll notice is it's pretty much already there. And this only took me around 5 to 10 minutes with this nice little hover effect. Obviously, there's more stuff I have to do when it comes to look. But let me show you how I got this far, as this only took me like 5 minutes. As you've seen in past tutorials, I took an element from another website I liked, and I went ahead and did the screenshot method. Provided the screenshot of the relevant element that I liked in the other website, and then I asked ChatGPT this. Okay, we are creating a new section on our website called investmentgallery.js, investmentgallery.css. Here is the placeholder image for each card. And then I use a placeholder image that I have already in my project, so we can go ahead and insert that for these relevant images that show there. Provided like this, and I say make 3 cards, make it look exactly like the attached image. First major thing you need to take from this is grab a relevant image that you have from another file that you've already imported and that we've done before, like this. With this, use this as a placeholder so that you can get the code and then provide the real images later on. So, right here, placeholder, super nice. With the first output here, though, there is some stuff I didn't like. So it gave me the JSX, gave me the CSS, but notice how the CSS is like super general, info, card, button, no good. Therefore, I went ahead and did 2 things. First thing I did was I went ahead and truncated the size of the class name from investment gallery to just investment G. So I said that here. Let's rename the file to investment G. Did that for me. As a side note, I went ahead and just already had these files created within the views because this is a major section within the landing page. From there, I also asked it to give a suffix to the underlying CSS class names so it's more specific. So I said, okay, give me again, but let's make the CSS more specific by adding invest dash in front of the CSS classes. And what you'll notice is that now we get invest dash in front of everything. This is a good practice, as you don't want to have CSS classes overlap between files. Make your CSS classes specific to what they're doing. Got the relevant code here, came back over here, pasted in the JS and the CSS. Once it was pasted, I just followed the logic that we've done in the past, which was come to our homepage.js. I imported investment G, like we imported the top fold, and then I put it right under the top fold. Therefore, that's why we see the top fold here, and then the investment section here. Also, you'll notice the copy is like iPhone 16 Pro. Obviously, I'm going to change that. But that's the idea here. We're almost getting a done investment section pretty fast here. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this up and show you what I did to make this look even better. See you there. And there we go. We went ahead and made these cards relevant to what Web Cafe AI is invested in. So we have currently 3 major investments: AI Marketplace, Bump Ups, and School. So what we can do here is I'm going to walk you step by step of how I got to this point. What you'll notice is that each one has a hover effect, which is nice. In addition, I went ahead and specialized one of the major investments here, which is Bump Ups here, to a different coloring, as you'll see in the code here, and everything works. So what it does in this context is that if I simply go to AI Marketplace, I click it, it'll bring me to AI Marketplace. Bump Ups, it'll bring me to Bump Ups. And School, it'll bring me to School. Now let's walk through step by step of how I did this. Now, first thing I'm going to show you is how to add this little cursor effect here where it turns into like a click motion, right? Does it here, does it here, does it there? Let me show you how to do that. So the relevant element that we were hovering over was invest card. And how do I know that? Come to the JS here. It is like the overarching element right here. Real quickly, to change the cursor from default, which is this right here, little arrow, to that little pointer thing you just saw right there, it's just cursor, semicolon, pointer. That's it. And if I hover over any element that has this line, it's going to have that click event. When I say click event, this is what I'm referencing. Notice how it has like the little clicker. Now let's go ahead and walk through step by step of how we got to this point. So the first thing that I did was I was going to change the underlying text and copy that shows up for each card here. So what you'll notice is that, we got AI Marketplace, description, display link, actual link, the image, and then a boolean here. We'll go over all of this. But the first step was basically giving the relevant copy for what's relevant to me. I initially tried to do this with ChatGPT, but I realized, you know what? This is so limited that I might as well just put it in manually. So for me personally, I went in manually and just changed the name and added relevant descriptions that I know fit this link and investment the best. Doing that, in order for me to make sure the chat is on the most up-to-date code, I went ahead and reset it. To do so, I said, okay, take a step back, which you're probably familiar with in previous lessons. And I said, here's the current file. And I just pasted the entire current JS file that I like with the relevant changes that I did personally. So now we're starting on a good foot. Once I provided the file with the correct copy, when I say copy, I'm referring to School AI Business. It doesn't say iPhone anymore. I simply just asked it to just remove some comments, // comments. It's code it doesn't read. It's just for your reference. I just asked it like this. Let's have each card click on open a new tab to a website. Provided the relevant code. So for this card, AI Marketplace goes to webcafesoftware.com. For this card, Bump Ups goes to bumpups.com, and followed in that manner. The code provided worked. But what it did, though, was it took the link and it displayed that for what's shown here. For Web Cafe Software, it showed the entire link. For Bump Ups, it showed the entire link. I didn't like that. I want the display link to look sleek and clean. Therefore, what I said was this. I said, do again, but let's do a display text link, which will be like school.com. But clicking the link will use the actual destination link. Let me make this more clear. So the display link in this context would be, actually, the school would be a better version of this, right? The display link would be school.com. That's what we see right here. But when I click, the actual link I'm clicking to is like the actual, landing page for my school community. You click it, it goes there. This is purely for UI, but this is purely just so it looks better on your webpage. So what you learned here is that you can show elements on your webpage in a cleaner way than alternatively me providing the entire school link here, right? So instead of me providing the entire school link here, I click, and it actually just takes me to the landing page that's relevant for this. Now, the next thing I wanted to add here, and I kind of reset the chat because, we're getting some motion here. In theory, I could have started a new chat, but sometimes I just do this. Current JS, current CSS. And the reason I'm doing this is because I'm about to make a big CSS element change. So I pasted the entire JS file, pasted the entire CSS file. You'll notice a pattern here. And from here, I wanted to have it so that we just changed a couple things. First off, it was referencing the cards as products based off the original, Apple products. Change that to investments, easy. Provide the line, done. And then finally, which is really cool, as you'll be able to learn a cool thing about booleans. Booleans in this context is yes, no, true, false, is I wanted to have the ability. So as this list grows on webcafeai.com, as we invest in more opportunities, there'll be more little cards here, right? We can build onto this, which is a side note. What makes this code super clean and super nice is that now we have a new opportunity. I don't have to worry. Command C, Command V, that's it. We just created another card and it's like built within the element. That's what makes this super cool. So I'm gonna obviously delete that because that'd be 2 bumps. You want 2 bumps? And from here, what you'll notice is this Boolean. The purpose of this Boolean is I wanted to kind of enunciate one of the investments comparative to all of them. Therefore, we added a Boolean of is featured. And all I simply did was ask this. Let's add a Boolean of is featured. And if it's true, we do a different CSS element, making the card have a different background color, and then provided the background color. It provided me the entire JS, and it provided me the entire CSS. And as you know, and I might need to make a t-shirt on this, copy paste. And that brought me to this point where now we have an entire investment section. I'll probably add a title here, but this kind of concludes up to this point in this video a pretty solid looking landing page so far. One last thing though, actually one very big last thing here. What you'll notice is that each one of these has a relevant image element. Here's what's extremely important about image elements, especially in the context that each one is going to be different, but it's going to be used in the same way. So what I mean by that is obviously this is a different image from this one, and this is a different image from this one, but they're used in the same way in the same CSS element or J6 element of a card or card. What's important for you to know is make sure when you upload these files, these JPEGs, they're the exact same size. So when you apply CSS like 300 width, it looks the same and everything looks like consistent. So in this context, for each one of these images, I made it the size of a YouTube thumbnail. Went ahead and dragged it into Photoshop. You can do Canva and just export it at the same size. This makes it so when you make relevant changes to the underlying image, such as width and height, it looks consistent, which is obviously very important in the context of building out a good-looking landing page. We're good to go here, though. We got a good banner, got a good investment section. Let's go to merges to main. Because remember, this entire time, we created a whole separate branch for the context of this new element we're adding. And the reason we're doing this is that if we really mess up, we can revert back to main. Let's do it. Say git add, git commit, -m, quotation mark, investment done. Quotation mark, git push origin, the branch name. You can come up here to do git branch, or alternatively, find it right here, and then push it. Once it's pushed, asterisks will go away, color will go away, come back over to GitHub. In GitHub here, we're going to get a nice little notification here, compare and pull request. We're going to compare it. We're going to pull it. Banner invest, let's change this to banner done. Nope, done. Investment section done. So we can reference this later when we do this. We're going to then come down to create pull request. Once you create the pull request, since we kind of already know what the situation is, we can check what the files changed, like what happened. Obviously, we added some images. We added some files. Like, this is pretty standard stuff. If there is a file in here that you're like, I don't remember doing that, this is where that would come up into play. Coming back over here, though, all we got to do is hit merge pull request. Confirm merge. Once we confirm merge here, we can simply delete the branch as it's not needed anymore. So now that we've merged this to main, we come back to our VS. We say git branch. We say git checkout main. This is how we move between branches. And then we are currently in an old version of main, right? Because we haven't pulled from the cloud yet. So what you'll notice is that we don't have the components that we created with the investment section, the banner section. And if I even hit command save here, you'll notice that we have an old version of the code. Oh, this is old. This is very old. And it looks different, right? Don't worry though, because all we have to do is git pull origin main. And this just pulls the code from the cloud. Hit boom, plus, minus, plus, minus. It didn't like something. Let me see what it didn't like. Oopsie, it was trying to pull this. Let's delete this, because I had it open and it was freaking out. So now, once the main branch is clean, let's try it again. Boom. There we go. Now that we've done that, hit command save. Notice all the new files. And sometimes you're going to error like this. Don't worry. Let's rerun our npm start here so this doesn't happen. Npm start, and then this is going to rerun the emulator. Sometimes you got to re-reference the code. This doesn't always happen. Obviously, I needed to do it this time. And let's check it out. Sometimes walking through the files again, just hitting command save, control save, make sure everything is clean, and boom. Now our main branch reflects this where we've got it. And there we go. We have a successful, up-to-date main branch based off the branch we created today. Pretty good. Make sure to leave a like. It's completely free and it helps me out here. If you want to see other videos on other topics on this channel, as this is a very, very niche topic. I guess it's kind of niche. Who knows? Check me out here. I do videos on AI, automation, business advice when it comes to creating software, business advice when it comes to implementing automations within your current business, everything but the board. And I'll see you in the next video. These are videos chosen by me or YouTube. Who knows? Did YouTube choose good? Did I choose good? I'll see you in the next video.